And we are back. Thank you for tuning in to Sundays at the Square. I am your host, Toni Ringgold. And I'm going to go ahead and, before we jump back into this conversation that we're having here, I'm going to switch gears for a second and we're going to do some community announcements. Now, if you or someone you know is doing something positive in the community and you want to get it out for people to be able to know about, I am huge on community. You guys know I love anything that has to do with helping someone in our area in Central Texas, and different events. I have people on all the time. So if you are one of those people and you are or you know about an event or something that's going on that needs to be to have awareness, it can come on a community calendar here at Sundays at the Square. In order to do that, all you got to do is find me on Facebook. It's Toni, Toni Ringgold, Ringgold. Again, that's Ringgold. Shoot me an inbox of your flyer or the information, and I will be sure to make an announcement because we got to keep ourselves plugged in. So for our listeners, here's what's coming up in your neck of the woods. Let's see. We have, and I'm actually going to have this person come on. His name is Mr. Damon Cross. He'll be next week's guest, and he actually mentors children in the juvenile facility. He goes around and he talks a lot about gun safety, and he's actually doing a concealed handgun class on May 21st, 2017. So if you're interested in learning a little more about that, and again, he's going to talk about gun safety. He's big on safety with children, and the important, that's something that really needs to be talked about. His telephone number is 254-931-4492. And that is going to be on May 21st. On June 23rd through the 25th, this is a few months ahead, it is the Serenity Retreat, the second annual Serenity Retreat. And this is, the theme is Know Your Worth. It says, prepare to be relaxed, revived, and empowered. An all-inclusive 2-night stay, meals, Japanese massage, I'm coming. Beauty control, peppering spa, gospel fitness, vision board, girl talk. Oh yeah, I'm going. And this is going to be a summer's meal. And if anybody's ever been to Summer's Meal in Belton, it is an absolutely beautiful facility. I see that one of my favorite people, actually, two of my favorite people, one is sitting right next to me. She is going to be speaking at this event. And then I also see Miss Carrie Ann Frazier is going to be a part of this event as well. So I'm definitely going to have to come out to that. And that's going to be on June 23rd through the 25th. We also have movie night. You know what? I think that one is already passed. Let me see. Okay, here we go. We have a youth concert at Perfected Praise that's going to be on April 23rd at 4 p.m. Some of my favorite people, Lavalis Hamilton, he was here before. He is going to be there. Also, Mr. Gerard Kenneth is going to be there, and Mrs. Carmen Spells. It's going to be praise dancers. So this is going to be a really good concert. And that's at Perfected Faith Ministries, which is off of Florence Road in Killeen, Texas. For more information, contact Tamara Jackson. That's 254-206-0637. Let's see what else we have here. Okay. On Tuesday, April 11th at 7 p.m., there's a Christian Women Alliance pinning ceremony for Mrs. Carolyn Keene Robertson, Mrs. Dolan. I don't know if I'm saying this right, last name right, but Urquhart, I believe, and Neva Tarver, and that's April 11th. And this is awesome. Let's see, what else do we have? One more event, Caught Up. Oh, this looks like this is a stage play. No. What is this? Look, I'm trying to look at it here. Look like it. No. This is actually Caught Up. It's called Caught Up, Memoirs of a Preacher's Wife. It was nominated Movie of the Year by Church Star. So I guess this is an actual movie that is going to be showing. And then they're going to have a panel discussion on the dynamics presented in the film. And there are different couples that are going to be coming and that are going to be talking on the panel discussion. And this is going to be on, what date is this? Oh, this is April 12th. So that's Wednesday at the Copper's Cove Theater. You guys be sure if y'all want to get more information on that. You could go on www.hpmusicandarts.com to get your tickets. Again, that's www.hpmusicandarts.com. Awesome. All right. So these have been your announcements. And we're going to jump right back into it. So I think the last thing we were talking about, if you're just tuning in to Sundays at the Square, I have Mrs. Lolita Gilmore here with me. We're talking about domestic violence and sexual assault. And one of the things that we were talking about is when the police get involved, or people always take it to jail, or how does this work? And she was giving me some insight on that, so I wanted to jump back into it.
Okay, yeah. And that's one of the things we have to understand, what we see with our victims when the police do come. And it's only because it's not the law enforcement, it's just how some of the laws are written. Mm-hmm. And you have a victim who just got tired and she was defending herself. But in the event of defending herself, if a scratch is on the offender.
Trust me. I know.
Yeah.
Yep.
And here she goes.
Yes.
Or the victim, they're arrested. So we still have some ways to go as far as legislature and things of that nature, and how people view the situation with domestic violence. But one of the things I wanted to go back on, if you don't mind, as far as the safety planning, because, and I'm going to read off some things, and I like to do this because is no gray area here. It says safety during an explosive episode. If there is an argument, try to be in a place that has an exit, not in a bathroom, kitchen, or room that may contain weapons. Okay? Practice getting out of your home safely. Identify which doors, windows, elevator, or stairway to use. This is safety planning because you're preparing to exit the situation. Identify one or more neighbors you can tell about the violence and ask them if they can call the police if they hear a disturbance coming from your home. So now where we don't want to get people involved, this is time to get people involved.
Right.
And said devise a code word to use with your children, family, friends, and neighbors when you need the police. Because the children, if they hear dad going off, or dad or our mom or what have you, and you've devised a code word, and you've talked to your neighbor, if that child leaves the house and just say ice cream, that neighbor automatically knows something is going on. But these things, that means we've had to plan.
We've had to talk about this.
Yeah, we've had to talk about that.
Mm-hmm.
And so with that, so now they're like, well, isn't that getting the children, involved? Well, they're involved.
They're involved whether you want them to be involved or not.
Directly, they're involved.
Mm-hmm.
So decide a plan where you would go if you ever have to leave home. But most importantly, use your instincts and judgment. In a dangerous situation, appease the abuser if possible, trying to keep him or her calm. So this is where you're like, oh my God, they've done a whole study on this. Yes, because these are the dangers of dealing with domestic violence, because what you're not dealing with a rational person. A lot of times we hear, well, I just thought I could change the person, or I thought I could love them out of it, or I thought I could pray them out of it. It's up to the individual to want to get the help.
Absolutely, and that's so important. And I think that one of the things that happens is that when you get with somebody, you don't get with an abuser.
Exactly.
You don't fall in love with an abuser.
That's right. That's exactly right.
You fall in love with whatever he or she's their name is. You fall in love with that person. So it's almost like it's a quest to find that person again.
Right.
And you're trying your best to find that person, but that person is no longer there. Exactly. Or might not have never even been that person. Might have been a facade that entire time to get you baited in, to get you in love, to get you hooked, so that then they can begin to be who they really are. And I think that that's one of the fears. If you're coming out of a domestic situation, how do you even get back into even the thought process of trusting again?
Remember when we were talking about the programs that we have with our Teach Them to Love Outreach Life Center? That program, that's why it's so important to do the counseling, because I have to understand what was I drawn to begin with. And so if I understand the dynamics, if I understand the components and the principles that's operating right there, if I understand those things, when I see it again, I can recognize it. But if I don't understand it, and if I haven't, the healing hasn't taken place, no growth has taken place. So I find myself going back and forth to the same thing over and over again. And you're like, how do I end up getting in this situation? Well, now we have to take a look internally. You know, we have to do some self-analysis. We have to say, what am I drawn to? What insecurities am I dealing with? Where am I?
Right.
You know, and those are the things. That's that tough love, so to speak. Because someone would say, "Well, was it my fault?" No, it was not your fault. It was not your fault that this person did these things to you. However, at some point, we have to step back and say, you know what? That's not what I want for myself.
Right. And I deserve more.
I deserve more. I need more. You know, I'm going to get more. And so when you say that, now you've begun to practice that. Now you're empowering yourself. And it is about empowering, because look at the individual that has the power and control over you.
Right.
You know, and it can be an uncomfortable situation for some to talk about, but I think it's important that we do talk about it. I think it's important that we do highlight it.
Absolutely.
You know?
Absolutely. Because once you come out of a situation, you don't want to just be a survivor. You want to be a thriver. You want to be somebody that when you come out of it, you know, people say that saying, I don't look like what I've been through. You know what I mean? You want to be in a position where you can see the light and the love of the world when you've been so bogged down with negativity and abuse. Okay, so one of the things that I always thought was very interesting, and I do want to touch on this because I think sometimes people do get it misconstrued in an abusive situation. They think, okay, well, it's better now. But there is a cycle of abuse.
Oh, my God.
And I do want to talk about that a little bit because that's very important.
That is very
important. To touch on, because I think people sometimes they think things are getting better, and it's really just a cycle, baby. It's going to come back.
It is a cycle. It is a cycle because no change is taking place.
Right.
You know, so it's a cycle. And so what we call, you know, everybody talks about the honeymoon phase. You know, everything is happy, joy. Hey, all is well. So now we mess around. One day we burn the water. I don't know how to cook. One day the house may not be clean enough. One day you just stepped on the eggshell and it was just too loud. One day. That's that build-up phase, the building up of the tension. And so next thing you know, it becomes explosive. Once it becomes explosive, now somebody finds themselves either cowering, trying to remove themselves from the situation, but now it becomes explosive and it's volatile. So now you have the pursuit. And the pursuit is, oh, honey, I'm sorry. I didn't mean for that to happen. Look what you made me do to you. You know, this was your fault.
If you would just...
Yeah, if you just do it this way, if you just do what I ask you to do, and then you wouldn't make me. Why do you make me do these things to you? You know?
You know I love you.
You know I love you.
So why are you doing it?
Just eat the cake. And so...
Exactly.
Yeah, you know.
Just eat the cake.
Yeah, eat the cake. and with that, so now you look at it, but I love you. And so now he's pursuing. And now we make up. We're at the honeymoon phase all over again. Do you see the cycle? And the buildup starts again. Because you're gonna do something. Nobody's perfect.
And then at the peak of the abuse, this is one thing that I think, because sometimes this cycle in the beginning, it can go a year. It can go 6 months. What you'll find is it'll start getting more and more close. It'll go from being a year of that cycle to it being a 6 month thing to it being a 1 month thing. And before you know it, it's like a weekly thing, a daily thing. You like, my goodness.
Because what happens, you see the different components of that cycle begin to disappear. You don't have to worry about the pursuit anymore. I don't have to pursue you anymore.
Because you're here.
You're here. You know,
you're not going nowhere.
I don't have to worry about the honeymoon phase anymore. So now it's just traumatic. every day. There's drama every day. And so when you get to that point, you need to get to considering. Before you get to that point, let's back up. Before it gets to that point, you have to say, you know what, I need to do something about this. And that's why we go back to the safety planning, because the safety planning is strategic. You know, I've gathered everything. I've done my research. I've begun to talk to other groups. Because, see, if you isolate yourself, no one is going to tell you, well, you know what, down the street they have an outreach program that you can go to. And you can be in there for 30 days, and they will help you get situated. Because we do a segment on why do victims stay.
Right.
And why victims stay? Oftentimes because what you're telling a person to do is take everything that they have, put it in a bag, what their children have, put it in a bag, go into a shelter, stay there for X number of days, and move on. That's a lot to absorb and swallow.
And what you'll find then when you get out of an abusive situation, you'll find that you're like, man, I don't have no friends.
Yes.
And you're like, but I'm a friendly person. I'm a nice person, but I don't have anybody that I can just call and be like, hey, girl, you want to go get your nails done?
Yeah.
Because you've been isolated for so long.
That's right. That's right.
But the beauty of it all is that all is not lost.
All is not lost. You can always start again.
You can start over, and you can start again with some good people, some healthy people, healthy relationships. So, okay.
Healthy relationships.
We're going to have to wrap this up. Okay. Oh, man, but I love this conversation. If people, if they're in a situation, for our listeners, or they know somebody that's in a situation and they need to get out, where can they call? Where can they go?
Well, I'm going to give a couple of numbers right now. Okay? And so what I really like to do is give the National Domestic Violence Hotline is 1-800-799-SAFE. Okay? I also like to give the Family Violence Legal Line, because sometimes we have questions. Okay? And so with that is 1-800-374-4673. Legal Aid 254-939-5773.
And when you get a chance, repeat those numbers for me.
I will. Okay. And so then we have Family in Crisis 254-634-1184. Okay. And you have the Battered Women Justice Hotline 1-800-903-0111. I give these numbers because if you don't want to get up and tell anybody, you don't want to confide in your family, you don't want to tell friends, well, call these numbers. And often, and all the times, not oftentimes, they have advocates, that will sit up there and they will do the crisis intervention. They will talk with you and they will help you get from point A to point B. Absolutely. They will guide you. Okay, so I'm going to read these numbers one more time. Battered Women Justice Hotline, 800-903-0111. A local crisis center, 254-634-1184. The Family Law Hotline, 1-800-777-3247. The Family Violence Legal Line, 1-800-374-4673. And for those who need help legally, call Lone Star Legal Aid, 254-939-5773.
Thank you so much, Mrs. Gilmore. Thank you again for coming in. We did not get to touch on your book.
That's okay.
But I'm going to bring you back because we're going to talk about your book. So, yes, y'all be looking out. And and give me the name of the book one more time.
It's called A Simple Leaf.
A Simple Leaf. You need to go look it up. Where can they get it?
They can get it on Amazon. And the author, Lolita Gilmore. And it is on Amazon. Or you can go to, actually, you can call me.
Awesome.
We have, I have my business cell, 254-247-9970.
Alrighty. Well, thank you guys for tuning in to Sundays at the Square. You know I'm your host, Toni Ringgold. Has some events coming up. Oh, there's one more event too. The Easter in the Park that's going to be in Temple. Go on my page. I'm helping with that event. It's going to be on April 15th. I want to make sure to let you guys know about that. And we are still seeking donations. If you want to donate for some donate, candy and things like that for the kiddos. We're going to have a lot of fun. Thank you so much for tuning in again. Follow me on Facebook, Toni Ringgold. That's RINGGOLD. You can also find me on Instagram, Toni Ringgold Music. And be looking out because we're going to have a YouTube channel coming forth real soon and working on the website. But you guys, thank you again. Also, Premier Music Academy. If you know someone who wants to learn how to sing, play piano, or guitar, or any of those things, want to let you guys know about that. And yeah, we have a lot of different things going on. But again, thank you so much for tuning in to Sundays at the Square. You have a wonderful, wonderful Sunday.